Hey, everybody, On the Run with Beards and Dunn is back, and the Beards is back. Hey,
Good.
Beards, after 2 episodes of doing this without you, and I got to admit, it's just not as much fun, but we had great guests. We had Brad Courts right around the Olympics. We
Yes.
reviewed the Olympics, and Brad is a track fan number one, bar
No
none.
kidding.
And so very knowledgeable and just a great guy and a runner. And then Randy Fisher, my old roommate from college, and
Good old fish.
oh, we've known Randy forever. And so I had a great time, with those two guys. But hey, Beard, you're back. Now, inquiring minds want to
I
know,
know.
where in the heck have you been and what's going on?
Oh, okay. So for any of our listeners that don't know, I've been fighting a bad infection for the last year in my left knee replacement. So I had my first knee replacement on my left side in 2010. And then I got a bad infection in my foot that got up into the knee in 2018 and loosened it. So my local surgeon here in Bemidji, the great doctor, Dr. Karen, he did a revision and it was just fine. And I got back running again, in a couple 2 months or 3 months, a little bit, and it was doing fine. Well, then,
Was it
um,
July of last year?
yeah. So July
My
of
God.
last year, I had a little. There was like I thought it was like a little calcium bump or something on the top of that left knee. Well, one day, I don't remember hitting it against anything. I noticed it was starting to kind of open up a little bit,
Ugh.
and of course, I should have gone to the doctor right away. But it's nothing. And one day, I'm waiting for some guide clients at one of the public accesses on Lake Bemidji, and that thing done was split open like a gosh dang banana, and
Oh,
and it looked
oh.
terrible. So I sent Dr. Karen a picture, and I mean, within 30 seconds he got back to me. He goes, "As soon as you're done with your guide trip, you get in here." So I went in there. They did surgery the next morning. They did a debridement washout surgery, sewed me back up. Went in, 10 days later to get the stitches out, and 3 days after that, son of a gun, split wide open again like the banana peel. So they did surgery again, kept me in the hospital for a week, had me on IV heavy duty antibiotics, and then same thing. It's once they took the stitches out, it just opened
Back up.
up.
Once you got in there, they tested and found out it was MRSA, MRSA.
Yes.
Okay, because
Yes.
and I've kind of told people, if anybody's listened, if they haven't listened to this, that's a nasty, nasty infection, in that it's resistant to
Yes.
antibiotics, and that's the dangerous thing with these antibiotics being used a lot all through our lives, is some of these gall darn bacteria stuff, they adapt,
It's amazing.
and they've mutated to where now it's like, hey, it's. I always remember Star Trek, and it was and there was the Borg, and they would adapt anyway. They could change to
Yeah.
their defenses. That's what this has done, and so they keep hitting you with antibiotics and trying to find the right combination to
Right.
kill the bugs that are in this wound.
Yeah.
But
So
in the meantime,
it's
it's
not
not
healing.
healing, and it's
And now
infected. Yeah.
remember this that was the knee that back in 1989 I got in that real bad farm accident.
Oof. Ugh.
So that knee and that leg has been through the meat grinder, for a long, long time. And the skin it's like paper or tissue
Ugh.
paper.
Yeah.
So after the second time Dr. Karen did it and it opened back up, he sent me to this specialist orthopedic surgeon in Fargo at the big Sanford hospital there. And he just deals with hard cases. So he did surgery. I'm looking at this now. He did surgery twice in September,
Ugh.
once in December. So in December, right before Christmas, the plan was they're pulling all this hardware out.
The metal. Yeah.
Yeah, all and since it's a revision, it's not like a normal knee replacement. I've got when they do a revision, they put a titanium rod from the knee replacement up into your femur and down into your tibia. So he said it's a brutal surgery. So I'm mentally prepared for it. I get into the hospital the morning of surgery. They got me all prepped, and the OR nurse comes in and she says, "Richard, we're all ready for you." And she goes, "Is the doctor been in yet?" I go, "No, not yet." So she walks out, and about 5 minutes later, the doc walks in. He shuts the door and he goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to take that stuff out. We're going to try this debridement washout again." I go, "What?" And I'm not blaming the doctor.
Well,
Like he told me, it's a brutal surgery. And, what do you, I mean, He's the
Well, you
doctor.
trust his professional,
Yeah.
yeah, his
So they
expertise
did
too.
that, and we finally got it to stay shut. He put me in a cast, a full length leg cast for I don't know 5 6 weeks, something like that, and then it finally stayed together. Well, back in I don't know late June, maybe July or something. I can't remember now. Early July. I bumped it just a little bit on my boat trailer, and that son of a gun done. It split wide open again, and it got infected. So they went in, they did a surgery, two in July, and then I went back to get the stitches out and the covering off, and oh, it was terribly infected, and I felt like crud. So they sent me right to the hospital, put me on IV antibiotics, did another surgery, got home, and then done. I was home for about 10 days, and I all of a sudden I felt like crud. I had the chills, I had a little bit of a fever. I could hardly put any weight on it. So they took me back to the big Sanford Hospital in Fargo, and now the infection, not only is it that MRSA, but it's also Staph aureus or something, which is not a
Mm,
good. It's a bad
yeah.
one, and it's down into the joint, and it's in my bloodstream. So they did another surgery at 1:15 in the morning. They
Oh,
wheeled me
Lord. Dude, wake
into
you up. Dick, wake up. We're taking you into surgery. No.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so then I was in the hospital for about a week, and so now I'm home. I've got a PICC line in my right arm here, and so 3 times a day I give myself these heavy duty IV antibiotics, and then this week now on Thursday, my surgeon that I had in Fargo that is a specialist in this stuff, he took a leave of absence, but there's another top surgeon, Dr. Johnson at the big Sioux Falls, South Dakota, your hometown,
There you go.
and that does hard cases. So I have a consult with him on Thursday. He kind of tells me what goes on, and then I got to be to the hospital Friday morning in Sioux Falls at 5 a.m. I'm the first one on the docket because it's a fairly long procedure. So Don, here's what they're going to do. So they're going to go in there, take out all that old hardware, and how the heck they get them rods out of that femur and
You
tibia?
don't want to know.
No. And so once they get that all out, they wash it out real good, and then they put what are called spacers, and it kind of acts as your knee, and then they fill that area with antibiotics and sew you up. For the next 6 weeks after that, I will not have a left knee.
It's like you have
So
a peg leg or something.
yeah, and I don't think I can put much weight on it, so I'm gonna probably have to be on crutches or
A
like
walker.
a
Yeah.
walker, and then 6 weeks after that, after the when they take all that stuff out, I go back, and then they'll put in a brand new 3rd knee in that left leg, and hopefully this will solve the problem because it's
Wow.
right now, done. It hurts so bad, and I can hardly walk and put weight on it. It's terrible.
Oh, Beards. I feel, we always talk about marathon. You're going through a marathon, an ultra marathon with this goddamn knee,
Oh,
with all this. I lost count of how many surgeries you had
I've
on the
had
knee.
okay, done. I totaled it up. In the last 1 year, I've had 9 surgeries on that left knee. And done. If somebody said, "I'll give you $1 million if you can run to the end of the block," I couldn't do it. I can
Beards.
barely walk down that far.
I mean, I've had 4 surgeries in 40 years on my left knee, and
Right.
it hurts. I can't run either, and so I can't. I just I'm kind of speechless.
So, well,
Well,
hopefully
hope,
this is
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
take care of things, and I'm looking forward to getting this behind me. I know the rehabbing once they put that new knee in is gonna it's brutal, and I've been through it, 3 4 times before, so I'm kind of mentally getting myself ready to go and whatnot, and so I've got a busy September for guiding, and I was able to get a friend of mine that's a guide here also in Bemidji to cover a couple of them at the end of this week and then one at on Labor Day. But I haven't canceled or
Oh,
looked for
Beards.
any replacements after that because I'm waiting to talk to the doctor to see what I can and can't do.
Well, you've never been a great one for,
I know.
all the coaches you've ever had, all the doc well, here's the thing, you gotta trust this guy, John I don't know who Johnson is in Sioux Falls. Sounds obviously he's reputable.
From what I've heard, he's very, very
I
good.
would listen to what he says
I
and
know.
follow it to
I
a
got to.
T. Yeah, because at this point, after how many you can't get
No,
8 I don't know
done.
what the you have the world record for consecutive marathon PRs. What's the world record for
Yeah.
knee revisions?
Well,
Don't
done. Here's the deal, and this really got my attention. He goes, "If this doesn't work," he said, "you can do one of two things after that. You can either lock the knee into place, and
Mm,
that doesn't always work, or
an amputation,
amputation."
which
And
is
that
like
got my attention.
oh, I mean, for, anybody, let alone a runner, that's like the
Well
worst
done. But you know what?
next
Jokingly, I said, "Well, gee, that would take away my knee problems anyhow. Give me a peg leg." And there's people, guys and gals that run with peg legs.
Beards are the most optimistic person I've ever met in my life, and you can find a silver lining in any dark cloud, and
Well, done.
that's
Okay,
commendable.
listen, we talked about my knee, and I know you and your
Yeah.
wife Karen love to bike. Now, you've had a little bit of a
Wow.
setback because of your knee. Talk
Just
about that a little bit.
compared to you, Beards, mine is a bump on the road. Well, I've been hitting the bike heavy, heavy, heavy. I had like a 25-day
Right?
string. I'm not a streaker. Usually you ride 3 or 4 days, you miss a day. It rains,
Yeah.
stuff is busy. Well, I think I rode 32 out of 33 days in a row. And anyway, and everything was, I'm just feeling great, stronger,
Right.
just training. And I, we have our little 1-year-old granddaughter who we watch a couple days
She
a
is
week. And
such a
oh,
cutie,
we just love having her.
little Emily.
And she's at that age where she isn't really crawling that much. She hops. It's weird. It's funny. So I'm trying to teach her how to crawl, and I get on my hands and knees. Now my left knee's had 4 surgeries, and I got on this hardwood floor. I don't know what I thought I was 20
It
again or
already
something.
sounds like it hurts.
Oh, Beards. I got on my hands and knees, and when my left knee, I put my weight on my left kneecap. I felt like somebody took a screwdriver and
Oh,
jammed it right into my
oh
kneecap. I was up
gosh.
off that floor like a bullet. Well, it was kind of sore because I kind of mashed the
Yeah.
kneecap into my knee joint. And there's a condition called chondromalacia. Chondromalacia is an inflammation behind your kneecap.
Okay.
And my knee's so messed up after 4 surgeries. Got a bunch of scar tissue and
Right.
calcium and stuff. Well, but I kept riding because it wasn't that big a deal. Well, one day I got back from a ride. The next morning I could barely bend my knee. Well,
Darn.
this is like about 2 weeks ago. And so I took the day I took the day off. Riding was not an option. I actually tried to ride. And I couldn't bend my knee enough to make a circle. So
But walking, you could walk
I
on it
could
though.
walk because walking I didn't have to bend it so far.
Yeah.
So I'm walking. So I iced it. I took ibuprofen, and I googled all of this. And basically, what is called is plica syndrome. Plica is this little synovial fluid sacs we have in our knee around joints to
Okay.
lubricate it. And I had mashed this synovial fluid, and you get folds like folding
Yeah.
clothes, and they get and it irritates and gets an inflammation started. And you get these little things called plica. I've had it before from cycling when I was getting ready for a lot
Yeah.
of my ram after ram I had it. And long story short, you get this little like a deposit of scar tissue right in your knee joint, and
Ow.
it's usually on the inside. Mine was on the inside. I had it years ago when I was running back up in North Dakota. I had it, and I didn't know what it was called. But I went to I worked at the hospital, and a Max was because I can't think of his last name. Was a physical therapist. I said, Max, God, and I told him my knee right on the inside, right there, and he felt it. And he goes, yeah, he goes, and it was plica syndrome. I don't remember him saying that.
Yeah.
One of the treatments is called cross friction massage.
It sounds like it might hurt.
Oh my! And he told me, he said, "Well, Mike, here's something we can try." He goes, we can do ultrasound and heat and cold, but he goes, really, to get rid of it, we need to kind of break down that it's like scar tissue that's formed in there. He goes, I'm going to take my thumb and get in there and rub really hard. And he goes, now
Ouch.
it's going to hurt, but it's doing its job. It's not going to do any permanent damage. And I said, Max, as a runner, you do what you got to do,
Right.
buddy. I don't care. Oh, Beards. I think I had tears rolling down my
I
eyes.
bet.
But he got in there and he just cranked on that end with his thumb, just back and forth, back and forth. I don't know.
Oh.
It seemed like he did it for a couple hours. It was probably a couple minutes. Well, the next day, my knee's all black and blue because he had
Holy
pushed so hard.
cow.
He had broke some blood vessels. But Beards, the pain went away.
You're
And
kidding.
no, and so then I get to Sioux Falls in 2012. This was back in the 1990s when Max did that for me. And this time the plica was so bad, it felt like a BB and it would
Oh,
lock my knee when I'd go around in a circle. It would like catch like a
yeah.
BB inside of it's like a bearing that's gone bad in a,
Sure.
one of the little round metal balls,
Right.
and it would catch and then release. Oh, it hurt.
I bet
So
it did.
the cross friction massage wasn't an option, and I could have probably. I went to a orthopedic surgeon, and he did surgery, orthoscopic surgery, where he went in and scraped that plica off, and it healed up, within a few weeks, and it was never a problem. Now it's back. So after about
Yeah.
3 days of this, every day it's getting better. I'm icing ibuprofen and rest. On the fourth day, I called my doc, and I knew it was plica syndrome, and I said, a cortisone injection is one of the recommended treatments to help lower. And she said, well, Mike, with your history of orthopedic, that knee's had 4 surgeries. She didn't feel comfortable. She goes, I think you should go straight to an orthopedic guy. I
Yeah.
said, yeah, could you set it up for me? And she goes, oh, no problem. And I thought, well, I'll probably get in the next day. She emails me back in an hour. She goes, you should be hearing from the Orthopedic Institute in the next week or two.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm thinking next week or two. So I called the orthopedic guy up and they go, yeah, can you be here by 3:00?
Oh my
It was
gosh.
like
The
noon.
same day you called them.
Yes. And I drive to Asheville. The guy comes in. He's a super guy. Dr. Edding was his name. I can't think of his first name. Nicest guy in the world, probably our age, been doing this for 40 years. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'll give you a shot of cortisone. And Barrett's, it felt better as soon as I walked out of his office.
No
Now,
kidding.
that cortisone injection, that's kind of a sharp little needle they stick in your knee
Oh
joint.
yeah.
And
I've had a few of those over the years.
but compared to, and I was off the bike for 5 days. Now I've hit about 5 days in a row. My knee feels great.
No
And so
kidding.
I'm happy to report, just so as we get older and, things happen, I think that needling on my knee with a bad knee to begin with caused the trauma. But compared to you, my thing is like,
Yeah,
it's
but
like
you know
a
what, Don?
sniffles.
I've always said this. What might be something bad for me might be nothing to somebody else or vice versa.
Mm.
And it kept you from doing what you love to do,
Oh,
getting out there on the bike and
yeah. For 5 days, Karen and I, it's kind of cool. You always kind of, I love exercising,
me
and
too.
I've always I think I started exercising when I was 14, and I was just doing some thinking about this the other day. What is an athlete? An athlete is anybody with the frame of mind of wanting to better themselves as far as physical activity. Like, we were athletes in our younger days, running track, running cross country, running road
Sure.
races. Beards, I'm still an athlete, and so are you.
Me
And
too,
so,
even though I'm slower than molasses in January
exactly.
now.
I think if you have the mental tenacity to say, I want to keep performing my activity at a level that makes me feel satisfied.
Well,
So when you can't do it, it's kind of like,
you're right, Dan.
ugh.
And I do it now more for just my overall general physical and mental
Yeah.
health.
I'm not going to pin on a number anymore. Putting on a
Right.
number is competition. And I just kind of felt like, what, that part of my life, I enjoyed it. I kind of relished it. I look forward to it. And now I'm doing it for me, for the health benefits, the joy, the feeling I get.
Yes.
I know, I don't want to sound like I'm a preacher or anything like that, but I always think of, I think somewhere in the Bible it says, "I've come to give you life and give it to you more abundantly." I think Jesus was talking to his disciples
Yeah.
and to his people, and I always think to myself and to people, are you having that abundant life? And I
Right.
think being of our mindset of saying, I want to do better. I'm past my prime, but what can I do today? Doesn't matter what I could do yesterday.
Exactly.
It's what can I do today to my mind, body, spirit, that whole thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
well,
Hey,
Barrett,
Mikey.
I'm excited you're back, and I'm
Well-
excited you have a plan.
Yeah, me too. I am too. And for you, one bit of advice for your knee: stay off hardwood floors.
Do not kneel. I'm not going to be a scrub. What are you, a handyman where they get on their knees, hands and knees,
Right.
and scrub floors?
Hey, Don.
All right.
So I got to tell you, the one good thing that came out of being in the hospital for a week, I got to watch
Oh,
the last 4 days of track and field, and I watched it live. Because sometimes it was on at 1:00 in the morning, and,
that was
and
just
I
right for
couldn't
you.
sleep very good anyhow. And I know you and Brad had talked about the Olympics a little bit, but I just want to recap just a couple of things. first off, Grant Fisher,
Oh,
the American runner, is 26, 27 years old, wins the bronze in the 5 and the 10K. We never used to be able to compete in that
we were
stuff.
lucky to get somebody in the finals,
Right.
let alone plays. Yeah.
And then how about one of the it had to be one of the most, if not the most exciting race of the whole Olympics was that 1500 meter. Talk about that a little, Dun, because there
Oh,
was a big rivalry going on
what?
between two non-Americans.
Wait, well, like Jacob Ingelbritsen, who's kind of been number one for seems like forever. He was a sub 4 minute miler at age 16. By
Unbelievable.
age 17, he was winning European championships. And, he was Olympic champion at age 21. And so the guy is just a phenom, but he got beat in the last two world championships by a couple of British runners.
Yes.
And basically they're kind of, championship races aren't they're tactical.
Right.
The time is irrelevant. If you win the gold medal, nobody says,
Oh,
"Well, okay, but how fast did you run?" Nobody
exactly.
cares how
Doesn't
fast you
matter.
ran. You won, and so it's kind of worked against him in that the pace. These guys that maybe have a little better kick, he's got this fantastic engine that can just.
Yeah.
If he runs a steady pace, most of the time people can't stay up with him. So going into that race, I appreciate Jacob Ingebrigtsen. Being the heavy favorite, he took it out. And
He did take it out.
50, under 55 seconds for the first 400. And they kind of thought that might have been his downfall because he led then at the first lap, the second lap, the third lap. And as you
Right.
know, the leader has that mental challenge of like breaking the wind. You're
Oh,
breaking trail.
yeah.
Everybody else is feeding off you. They can see what you're doing. You can't see what they're doing.
Exactly.
And they kind of sat on him, and he tried to run the legs out of all these fast guys. And I think that's a tough road to hoe at the world
I'm
class
telling
level.
you.
You tried doing it to Alberto Salazar, and it was that 1.6 seconds at the end
Right.
of a marathon. Well, it came to the end of that 1500, and Jacob Ingebrigtsen led into the home straight. Josh Kirk comes up on his outside. He tries moving out. Well, first Cole Hocker tried passing Ingebrigtsen on the inside, and I think he sensed him coming and kind of closed the door on him.
Yeah.
And Hocker had to kind of slow down after he started his kick.
Unbelievable.
Unreal. I kind of thought, dang it. Once you lose your momentum in the last 100 yards, I mean, it's pretty much over.
Right.
Well, then Josh Kerr starts passing Ingebrigtsen. So Ingebrigtsen drifts out to the outside of lane one to kind of maybe, inadvertently, it's kind of more subconsciously, just to kind of make Kerr work a little harder to get around him. Well, opened up the door and for Hocker
Oh
to
my
re-kick
gosh.
a second time. I know Brad Court talked about it. He'd never seen that before, where a world-class miler or any distance runner has like a double kick in the last 100.
It doesn't happen very often.
Doesn't happen. And Hocker did it, came past on the inside. Kerr got around Ingebrigtsen on the outside. But unfortunately, then Nagus, the other American, came up, and Ingebrigtsen up fourth. And everybody's like, "Wow, he didn't even get on the podium." That's just unbelievable. Nobody saw that coming. He does go on and wins the gold medal for the 5,000 several days later.
He made that 1500 race.
Oh, he did. I think it was commendable. He didn't run it. I don't know how to say it. Prefontaine said, if somebody's going to beat me, they're going to taste blood. That means you're going to have to go. It's almost a balls
and
out.
Hocker set an Olympic record.
Broke his PR by 3 seconds. So
unbelievable.
These guys rose to the occasion. Ingebrigtsen did what he thought he had to do. I mean, it was like one of the greatest races ever. And then Ingebrigtsen wins the 5,000. The steeplechase, I was going to say, he gets the silver medal, which is unheard of for an American.
Yeah.
And he just ran in a race that we're going to talk about. Ingebrigtsen just set a 3,000 meter world record, which is just mind boggling.
Oh my gosh.
But at the same meet, our steeplechaser was there, and he was going to go for a sub 8 minute. He had run 8:06 at the Olympics and got the silver. And I think in his mind, he was on such a high, and he thought, man, I still got more in the tank. Kind of after you ran your 2:09 at Grandma's, you weren't like, that's it, I'm done, I'm retiring now.
No.
I think I've got more. I got a faster one in me.
Absolutely.
And I haven't seen the race. He fell during the race, and it sounds like he broke his collarbone, but he fell, he got up, he finished the race in like 8 minutes and 25 seconds. His PR going into the Olympics was 8:15. And when I saw the results, I thought, oh, geez, I wonder what happened to the poor guy. He ran 8:06 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. Now he's running 8:25, fell. possibly, it sounds like, broke his
Oh my
collarbone.
gosh. And he
Still got
still
up and
runs 8:25.
yeah, because a lot of times when you fall, and I've fallen off my bike, you don't know how badly you're hurt till
No.
later. And so I haven't seen the race or how he fell. Obviously, was it the water jump, a barrier? I don't know, but and so just some very very exciting races. But yesterday was it or 2 days ago?
It
Ingebrigtsen
yeah,
showed up at a meet.
yesterday
Yeah, yesterday,
in
3,000
Poland.
meters. The world record had stood for like 28
Yeah,
years.
Daniel Coleman's had it for and they thought that might never be
It
broken.
was such an outstanding record, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And it comes out to just it's way under 8 minutes for 2 miles. Think of
Right.
running 2 4. Now, Ingebrigtsen has the world record of 7:54 for 2 miles
I
outdoors. He
can't
did that like a year ago. And so he had the potential to run that fast, but everybody's like, oh, you have to have the perfect race. Well, he was, I can't remember, it was in Switzerland or whatever it was. And he had some pacemakers that took him out through the 2,000
they did a
meters
great job with
right
that
on world
too.
record. They have these lights now, which a
Yes.
lot of people belittle the records nowadays because of the shoes the athletes are wearing, because of the track surfaces that are
Right.
more, I don't know, bouncy, rubbery,
It does make a
whatever.
little bit of a
And
difference.
they have these pacer lights around the inside of the track, the whole quarter mile, which they can set so you can see these lights lighting up. And they had them set for world record
That's
pace.
pretty cool.
So if you're ahead of the lights, you're pretty like, I'm ahead of pace. If you're behind the lights, you can see how much faster I have to
Right.
catch up to. Well, so that's a benefit that this
Oh,
Daniel
absolutely
Coleman
it
didn't
is.
have. Anywho, Ingebrigtsen did it, ran 7 minutes, 17 seconds, broke the world record by over right on 3 seconds.
And done. A lot of people think, well, 3 seconds, that's not in that
Oh,
race, 3 seconds is like it's unbelievable.
nobody had come close to this record basically for 28 years.
Right.
And so to break it by 3 seconds, and his time comes out to, I don't know if anybody, track people listening to this, 58 point, I think it was like 3.4 per 400 meters. Let's just round it off to say 58.5. So if you can run a 58.5 400 meters around a track,
I
and
don't
then
think I
do
can do
another
that.
one, and then do another one, that's a 157 half mile. Now do another one and another one, that's a 354 mile.
Oh my goodness.
He still has 3.5 laps to go, and he ran his last 455 seconds. It comes out to right around 7 minutes and 50 seconds for 2 miles if you do a conversion and all that.
Unbelievable.
He is a beast. I mean, what a specimen for human performance.
And he's only 23 years old.
He's still got potential to improve more. And so it is an exciting time if you're a track and field fan. The world record got broke by Duplantis, the guy who won the gold
Yes.
medal, set the world record at the Olympics, broke his own world record yesterday at the same meet that Ingebrigtsen
That
did.
guy is in a league of his own.
And it showed his clearance on this new world record.
Yeah.
He didn't, it's not like he barely made it.
I know.
I mean, his potential, again, is like Ingebrigtsen. Who knows how high that guy is going to be able to pole vault. He's up over 20.6.
I can't even imagine.
20 feet, 6 inches. I wouldn't jump off a goddamn building
No.
20 feet, 6 inches up in the air into one of those pole vault
Me
pits.
neither.
Because it looks like,
And
that's
he's
2
standing on
stories.
his head at the very top.
I know. And he's 2 stories up in the air.
and done. And then one last thing about the Olympics. Sifan Hassan
Oh, the
from
woman.
Denmark. What?
the
The Netherlands.
Yeah.
She runs the 5K. Actually, she had to qualify for the finals in the 5K. So 2
Yep.
5Ks. She wins bronze.
Yeah.
Runs the 10K, gets bronze. Then like a day and a half later, runs the marathon, wins it on a brutal course in a Olympic record. Unbelievable.
And if you haven't seen the race, just go to the last about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because there was a group of 3, I think there were 3 women
Yes.
before that were still together. And the world record holder was one of them. And these 2 gals start duking it out in the last mile. It got a little physical around one corner, and there was no quarter given. I mean, not when you take a corner in a race, you want to take the shortest line.
Right.
Well, the world record holder, she took the shortest line, and the gal who ends up winning was on her inside, and you had to kind of hold her. They were
There
like
were some
bumping
elbows
elbows.
flying there in
They
the
were.
last quarter mile.
But everybody was fine with it. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
like protesting.
It's part of racing.
Part of what's it? Rubbing is racing or something
Yeah.
like that. It's in NASCAR. So it just some fantastic performances going on out there. which I hope motivates people. I think everybody, when you see these athletes, if that doesn't give you some inspiration, no matter what level, who you are, where you're at, to
Yes.
get off the couch. Go for a
Absolutely.
walk. And if you
Yes.
get to a point where you can do it, yeah, break into a light jog. Not to say you're gonna. The gal who got third in the Olympic 1500 from Great Britain, her name escapes me right now, but I saw an interview on her just recently. She about with COVID hit, what was it, back 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
She took up she was always a runner, but she really kind of focused more on running then. She was going to these things called park runs over in London. I guess they have them all the time.
Okay.
There's no entry fee. It's a park run. It's like a
Yeah.
fun run. There are 5Ks. You get timed. So you get a ranking, you get results. Well, everybody does them. It's kind of
Sure.
like going golfing. It's like and she was doing these things and she reapplied herself. Obviously, she was talented and had
Yeah.
some really good potential as a young runner, but refocused her attention on running 3-4 years ago, and now has gone on to be an Olympic medalist.
Amazing.
I mean, it is. It is. It's inspiring that you never know. Um, I'm going to give you. I don't think you even know this. Here, I live near a little town called Mars Hill, North Carolina, and they have a university, Mars Hill University,
Oh,
the,
okay.
the Lions, and they have a cross country and track team. And the cross country team, I did a little research. I have a new coach who started January of 23, so he's been here about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I went over and met him about a week or so ago, and I walked into his office and introduced myself, and he kind of told me his story. He said, "Yeah, I got here. We had 6 boys and 4 girls on the
That's
cross
it.
country team. That's it." And he goes, and he graduated from Mars Hill University about 7-8 years ago. They were kind of like SDSU at one time, Dick. They had a great string of conference championships,
Okay.
for their division there. I think they
Right.
were kind of like NAIA. They're Division 2 now. And, he was proud of being on that team
You
and being
bet.
a good runner. He was always in the mix, and he's an ultra marathoner now. He actually got 7th in the national 100K in 2023, I think it was, or 2020. Beards, do you know how far 100K is? 62
Yeah,
miles.
I know.
The dude got 7th in the nation. Now, I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know how many starters there were, but I mean, and he's a 2:30 marathoner. He's kind of like you and me.
Yeah.
Him and I just hit it off. And I said, "Do you need any help? I'm here. I'd like to volunteer." And he goes, "Geez, Mike." He goes, we'd love to have volunteer coach." He goes, "We have no money for coaching." I go, "I'm not here to get a job.
Yeah.
I'm just here to see if you could use some help." And he said, "Sure."
Awesome,
And so
Don.
Bear's at, well, I'm going through a background check right now. If you get a call from the FBI or something, I hope you put in a good,
Okay.
and I don't know what that means. But I said, I know you guys have to do your due diligence. When
Right.
some stranger walks in and goes, "Yeah, I'd like to help you coach your, men and women's cross country teams," you kind of go, "Well, okay, that sounds really nice, but we got to check you out first." And so
Don, you'd be awesome at
I
that.
hope so. Now listen to this though. The guy said because he came in, he said, "Man, did I hit the recruiting trail last year?" Beards, he's got 18 boys and 12 girls
Holy cow.
out on the team this year.
Good for
So he took it
him.
from 10 runners to 30 runners. And
Wow.
they're mostly all freshmen. If you go to Mars Hill University, you click on that, go to athletics, click on cross country, and it's got the men's roster and then the women's roster. And there's actually some photos, I think, of the sophomores, juniors, if they have a photo on
Yeah.
it. And so I've actually been looking through there and seeing where all these young runners are from. And so, Bears, I got to admit, I'm kind of, I'm trying to not sound too, I'm enthused about the opportunity to try to, I don't know what, help
Well,
somebody. I'd
Don,
love to help
in
anybody
your
get better.
background in physiology and all the years of runner and then a cyclist, man, you're going to be able to give them a lot of insights on
Oh, I
all
hope so.
kinds of good stuff.
Well, I'm happy to be of any service. And the coach is named Carter Benge, 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 Carter Benge, Coach Carter. That sounds like a
Yeah.
movie, wasn't there, Coach Carter? And so he seems like a really, really cool dude, and he's enthusiastic about running. And if you're going to have a coach, you better hope he's got some enthusiasm, and Carter's got it. And so if I can
Well,
help him out,
he's probably reminds me. I've never met him, obviously, but with Coach Underwood, man, I
oh
tell you, when
yeah,
we ran at South Dakota State for Coach Scott Underwood, and I never had a coach that was so fired up, pumped up. I swear he'd run from one side of the course to the other and done. And I'm sure you can attest to this. There could be 1,000 people screaming, but you could always pick out
Mm.
Endy's voice, couldn't
Oh,
you?
he could. His For a little guy, he had some pipes or
Yeah,
whatever, and he could bring it. And that's really as an athlete, nobody can do it for you. But if you're out there and somebody you're rooting for you, cheering for you, if a lot of times you're doing it for you, but you also don't want to let them down, and that's important to know. There's somebody there backing you up who's looking out for your best interests. And so when the times get tough, you suck it up and
right.
you use their strength to kind of give you that little extra motivation, a little nudge to keep going when sometimes you don't want to.
So,
But
Don,
I'll let you know how that goes.
yeah, well, yeah, I know we had talked about maybe talking a little bit about a fartlek, but we're kind of getting out of time here. But here's
Yeah,
what I
no,
was
we'll save it.
thinking. How about this? We'll do a show next week.
Yeah,
I should be out of the hospital in a couple days, 2, 3 days. Get back home here. We can talk. I can kind of tell you what went on there, and then we can kind of get into a little bit of
yeah.
talking about fartlek
Oh,
and because now we'll be in September, and now right around the corner is the big fall marathon season coming up for a lot of people.
oh, it's exciting. And cross country to me, I don't
And
know about
cross
you, Dick.
country.
The cross country and track. I loved cross country.
Me
Track, I always
too.
got injured. And, in the track, you're limited to the track. It's kind of not the most exciting venue
Right.
to run. Round and around and around in a circle. Cross country, you never knew what the courses are going to be like. Hilly,
No.
flat, lots of turns, not many turns. Kind of like road racing.
Yeah.
It was kind of more variable and more mentally stimulating and challenging and stuff. And so I think I always thought the fall was my favorite time of the year because I trained like an animal all summer, and you just look forward to the fall where you could take advantage, hopefully,
Yes, and the
of
weather
all your
cools
training.
down, and
Yeah.
it's just that's I don't have any regrets with my running. But the one thing I as I look back on, once I got done with college running, and then I basically became a road runner. I never ran any more cross country races,
Mm.
and I loved cross country.
Yeah, I ran a couple, like independent, and it was so much fun. I hate to say this. When you're older than the college guys and you jump into a race with them, you've got that strength and maturity,
Yes.
marathoning strength and maturity. And let's be honest, cross country is probably as much as stamina, strength, and kind of
Oh, for
smarts as
sure.
pure raw talent. And so I always felt, it was kind of unfair to jump in as an unattached athlete when you're 24, 25 years old, running against a bunch of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. But hopefully they gained from it, from the higher
Absolutely, they
level of
would.
competition. But it made it, yeah, it's so much more fun too to be in the mix, to be
Yeah.
right up there in the front. Well, Beards, yeah, I looking at you and listening to you, I know you're hurt, you're not feeling the best,
No.
but you can't tell because your
Well,
spirit never says die. You
well,
always come
I
across,
I
but
tell
I know
you,
you're hurting physically.
well, oh yeah, I mean, right now it feels like a super incredibly bad toothache. It just aches all the
See, and
time.
I would, people watching this are going to go, Beards is fine. He sounds, I don't think there's anything wrong with the guy.
Well, I tell you, the good Lord done is I don't know. He's given me a pretty good outlook on things, and even when
Oh,
things aren't going your way, or you're kind of down in the dumps, or things like this happen,
oh,
I've always said this. Things happen for a reason, and
good.
I'm still here, standing upright, and not
Yeah.
very. I'm a little shaky right now on my legs, but
Oh, Beards.
I'm looking forward to this chapter to get beyond it and get the leg back working again, and hopefully by next spring maybe I'll be able to get back out and run a little bit again. And but
Oh,
it I'll do something. If I can't run again, I'll walk. If I or ride a bike and things like that. So.
oh, Beards. I tell you, if anybody's having a bad day, just give Dick a call and chat with him, and you'll have a
Well,
much
Don,
better day.
I get fired up just when you and I get together and chat. So, and we want to thank everybody for listening. And if you have any questions for us, for me or Don, comments about the show, you can contact us directly at our beardsanddunpod.com, or you can leave us a comment on our Facebook, Instagram, or X, all at Beards and Dun Pod.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, don't be afraid to leave a comment, subscribe. We'd love to have you subscribe. Beards, I went out and I went down my hill today, the one I went 59 miles an hour on.
Cheapers.
And I put a video up on Facebook, so if you get bored, go look at it. But I only hit 50. I don't have the nerve to let it go. And I think that's called common sense and maturity.
Yes. Done. Still 50 miles an hour on a bike is
I tell you,
flying.
it's exciting. It's, life is to be lived. I'm not saying take stupid, risks
No.
and do stuff that you could possibly, and I've been doing this for a long time. But I tell you, Beards, there's nothing like the feeling of flying down a hill at 50 miles an hour on a
I bet.
bicycle. It's
Hey,
cool.
John, one last thing.
Yeah.
So you and Karen are coming up on your 1 year of retirement.
Yes,
and I can
September
tell
1st.
you guys have absolutely loved it to the hill. There's
Oh.
no regrets at all about retiring, is
no.
there?
No, there's nothing wrong with working and
Right.
earning a living. I mean, it's kind of the
That's
way
what
of
you
the
gotta
world.
do.
It's pretty rare that you get an inheritance or what are these trust fund babies that
Yeah.
never really have to work a day of their life. And I'm not sure, looking back in hindsight, I never had a job I didn't enjoy. I tell you, Beards, going to bed at night and just not having to think about, okay,
I
work tomorrow. I can't believe a year's gone by, but yeah, we are loving retirement and then having our granddaughter
I
so
bet.
close to us. I tell you, it's
You're
fantastic.
living a good life, buddy.
Well, Beards, let's get healthy.
I will.
We'll go fishing real soon.
And we'll talk next week.
All right, sounds great, bud.
Yeah,
Have a good
bye-bye.
day.
See you, Don.